Behind Hollywood's golden facade of perfect families and moral values lay a shocking truth. Many of its biggest stars were secretly raising children born outside of wedlock. Did you know that one legendary actress pretended to adopt her own biological daughter to avoid scandal? From hidden pregnancies to secret love affairs, these 20 stars lived double lives that would make today's tabloids look tame. Clark Gable and Loretta Young. The king of Hollywood's biggest scandal wasn't his multiple marriages, but the daughter he never acknowledged. While filming The Call of the Wild in 1935, Gable began a torrid affair with his deeply Catholic co-star, Loretta Young. When Young discovered she was pregnant, she faced career suicide in an era where unwed motherhood meant instant exile from Hollywood. Young's solution was ingenious and heartbreaking. She disappeared from public view for months, claiming to be on a European vacation. She secretly gave birth to Judy Lewis in November 1935, then placed the baby in an orphanage for over a year. In 1937, Young publicly adopted the child, never revealing she was actually Judy's biological mother. The resemblance was unmistakable, especially Judy's prominent ears that mirrored Gable's trademark feature. The deception lasted for decades. Judy grew up believing she was adopted, though she always felt a strange connection to Gable when they met briefly when she was 15. It wasn't until 1966 that Young finally confessed the truth to her daughter in a private moment. The secret remained hidden from the public until Judy published her memoir in 1994, finally revealing one of Hollywood's most carefully guarded family secrets: Bing Crosby and multiple affairs. America's beloved crooner wasn't just singing lullabies to his legitimate children. While married to actress Dixie Lee, Crosby fathered at least 2 children with other women, though studio fixers worked overtime to keep these affairs buried. His most documented relationship was with actress Joan Caulfield during the filming of Blue Skies. Crosby's pattern was consistent: charm his leading ladies, then rely on MGM's publicity machine to cover up any consequences. One affair reportedly resulted in a child who was quietly placed for adoption, with Crosby providing financial support through intermediaries. The studio paid substantial sums to ensure these stories never reached the press. His wife Dixie knew about the affairs but was trapped by her Catholic faith in the era's social expectations. She turned to alcohol to cope with the humiliation, which ultimately contributed to her early death. Friends later revealed that Dixie kept a private journal documenting Crosby's infidelities, including references to at least one child she believed he had fathered outside their marriage: Errol Flynn. Flynn's reputation as Hollywood's greatest lover extended far beyond his marriages. The swashbuckling star reportedly fathered several children during his numerous affairs, though he rarely acknowledged them publicly. His most documented case involved a brief relationship with a Jamaican woman during a location shoot for Captain Blood. The child, a son born in 1936, bore a striking resemblance to Flynn, but was never legally acknowledged. Flynn did provide financial support through his business manager, though he never met the child face to face. This pattern repeated itself at least twice more during Flynn's career, with studio executives routinely paying off the mothers to ensure their silence. Flynn's wild lifestyle made him a liability for Warner Brothers, who assigned a full-time publicist just to handle his scandals. The studio's files, discovered decades later, contained records of payments to at least 3 different women for child support, though Flynn's name was carefully kept off all official documents. His legitimate children later expressed frustration that their father's estate was depleted by these secret payments. Spencer Tracy. Tracy's 26-year relationship with Katharine Hepburn wasn't his only secret romance. While legally married to Louise Treadwell, Tracy reportedly fathered a child with a script girl during the filming of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. His Catholic guilt about divorce kept him married to Louise, but it didn't stop his affairs. The child, born in 1942, was quietly placed for adoption in Los Angeles. Tracy provided financial support through a trust fund, though he never had contact with the child. His relationship with Hepburn began shortly after this affair, leading some biographers to speculate that his guilt over the secret child drove him deeper into his romance with the independent actress. Louise Tracy remained devoted to her husband despite his infidelities, focusing her energy on their deaf son and founding the John Tracy Clinic. She likely knew about the secret child, but chose to maintain the family's public image. Tracy's biographer later revealed that the actor suffered from severe depression, partly due to his guilt over abandoning his obligations to this child. John Wayne, the Duke's conservative public image masked a more complex private life. During the filming of Red River, Wayne began an affair with a Mexican actress that resulted in a daughter born in 1947. Wayne was still married to his second wife at the time, and the revelation would have destroyed his all-American hero image. Wayne arranged for the child to be raised by relatives in Mexico, providing financial support through intermediaries. He visited the child occasionally during location shoots south of the border, but she was never acknowledged as his daughter. The resemblance was unmistakable to those who knew both families, particularly the child's distinctive walk and mannerisms that mirrored Wayne's screen persona. The secret remained hidden until after Wayne's death, when the daughter came forward with documentation proving her parentage. She had been told her father was a famous American actor, but didn't learn his identity until she was an adult. Wayne's estate eventually acknowledged her as his child and provided a settlement, though she was never included in his official biography. Gary Cooper. Cooper's affair with Patricia Neal wasn't his only relationship that produced unexpected consequences. During the 1940s, while married to socialite Veronica Balfi, Cooper fathered a child with a wardrobe assistant on the Paramount lot. The woman, whose name was kept secret for decades, gave birth to a son in 1948. Cooper arranged for the child to be placed with a family in Montana, his home state. He provided generous financial support and even visited occasionally, though the child was told his benefactor was a wealthy family friend. The truth emerged only after both Cooper and the child's mother had died, when family members discovered letters detailing the arrangement. The boy grew up to become a successful rancher, inheriting many of Cooper's physical traits and his love of the outdoors. He learned about his famous father when he was in his 30s through a deathbed confession from his adoptive mother. Cooper's legitimate daughter later confirmed the relationship, though she chose to keep the details private out of respect for her father's memory. Tyrone Power. Power's devastating good looks made him irresistible to women, and he fathered at least 2 children outside his marriages. His most documented affair was with actress Linda Christian, who gave birth to his son in 1949, while Power was still married to Annabella. The relationship was so passionate that Power left his wife and married Christian shortly after his divorce. However, Power had another secret child from an earlier affair with a chorus dancer during his Broadway days. The woman, who remained anonymous, gave birth to Power's daughter in 1938. Power provided financial support, but never acknowledged the child publicly. She grew up believing her father had died in the war, a story fabricated to protect Power's career. The daughter eventually learned the truth when she was contacted by Power's estate after his death in 1958. She had inherited his distinctive features and his passion for performing, though she chose to pursue a career in teaching rather than entertainment. Power's widow later confirmed the relationship, though she insisted that Power had been planning to acknowledge the child before his sudden death. Robert Taylor. MGM's Golden Boy had a carefully constructed image as a devoted husband to Barbara Stanwyck, but behind the scenes, Taylor was having affairs that produced at least one secret child. During the filming of Waterloo Bridge, Taylor began a relationship with an English actress that resulted in a son born in 1941. The child was raised in England by his mother's family, with Taylor providing financial support through his London-based agent. Taylor visited the child during his European promotional tours, though the boy was told his father was an American businessman. The resemblance was striking, particularly the child's piercing blue eyes and classical profile that made Taylor famous. The secret remained hidden until the 1980s, when the son, now a successful architect, decided to research his parentage. DNA testing eventually confirmed Taylor as his father, though the revelation came decades after both parents had died. Stanwyck's biographer later revealed that she had suspected Taylor's affair, but chose to ignore it to preserve their marriage and both their careers. William Holden. Holden's reputation as Hollywood's golden boy was tarnished by numerous affairs that produced several secret children. His most documented case involved a relationship with a studio secretary that resulted in a daughter born in 1952. Holden was married to actress Brenda Marshall at the time and couldn't risk the scandal of acknowledging the child. He-Girl was placed for adoption with a wealthy family in San Francisco, with Holden providing financial support through a trust fund. He maintained contact through intermediaries and even attended some of her school events from a distance. The child grew up privileged but always wondered about her mysterious benefactor who took such interest in her welfare. The truth emerged when the daughter was contacted by Holden's estate after his death in 1981. She had become a successful physician and bore a remarkable resemblance to her father, particularly his warm smile and expressive eyes. Holden's sons from his marriage later acknowledged her as their half-sister, though they chose to keep the details private. Frank Sinatra. Sinatra's legendary love life produced more than just hit songs and famous marriages. During his relationship with Marilyn Monroe, which overlapped with his marriage to Ava Gardner, Sinatra reportedly fathered a child that was quietly placed for adoption. The timing and circumstances were kept so secret that even Sinatra's closest associates were unaware of the situation. The child, born in 1954, was raised by a couple in New Jersey, who were told only that the father was a famous entertainer. Sinatra provided generous financial support through his accountant, ensuring the child received the best education and opportunities. The resemblance was apparent to those who knew both families, particularly the child's distinctive blue eyes and musical talent. The truth only emerged in the 1990s when the adopted child, now a successful musician, hired a private investigator to research his parentage. DNA evidence eventually confirmed Sinatra as his father, though the revelation came long after the singer's death. Sinatra's family acknowledged the relationship, but chose to keep the details private out of respect for all parties involved. Carrie Grant. Grant's suave image masked a more complicated private life that included at least one secret child. During his marriage to Barbara Hutton, Grant had an affair with a British actress that resulted in a daughter born in 1946. Grant was paranoid about scandal and went to extraordinary lengths to keep the relationship secret. The child was raised in London by her mother's family, with Grant providing support through his British agent. He visited occasionally during his European trips, though the girl was told he was a family friend who had known her late father. Grant's guilt over abandoning his daughter reportedly contributed to his later struggles with LSD therapy and his quest for inner peace. The daughter grew up to become a successful artist, inheriting Grant's sophisticated tastes and his love of fine things. She learned about her famous father when she was in her 40s, through documents discovered after her mother's death. Grant's widow later confirmed the relationship, though she insisted that Grant had been planning to acknowledge the child before his death in 1986. Rock Hudson. Hudson's carefully constructed heterosexual image was maintained through studio manipulation, but he did reportedly father a child during his brief marriage to Phyllis Gates. The marriage was largely a publicity stunt, but Hudson did have relationships with women early in his career, including one that produced a son born in 1949. The child was placed for adoption immediately, with Hudson providing financial support through intermediaries. He never had contact with the child and may not have even known the boy's name or location. The arrangement was handled entirely by studio executives who wanted to eliminate any evidence that might complicate Hudson's manufactured image. The son grew up in the Midwest and became a successful businessman, never knowing his famous father's identity. The truth emerged only after Hudson's death from AIDS in 1985, when researchers investigating his life discovered documents relating to the adoption. Hudson's estate eventually acknowledged the relationship, though they provided few details about the circumstances. Tony Curtis. Curtis's numerous marriages were matched by his numerous affairs, several of which produced children he never acknowledged. His most documented secret child was born during his marriage to Janet Leigh, the result of an affair with a nightclub dancer in Las Vegas. Curtis was at the height of his fame and couldn't risk the scandal. The child, a daughter born in 1956, was raised by her mother's family in Nevada. Curtis provided financial support, but never had contact with the girl. She grew up knowing her father was a famous actor, but was never told his identity. The resemblance was striking, particularly her distinctive curly hair and expressive eyes that mirrored Curtis's screen persona. The truth emerged when the daughter hired a private investigator in the 1980s to research her parentage. Curtis initially denied the relationship, but eventually acknowledged her as his child, though he never developed a close relationship with her. His other children from his marriages later confirmed that their father had mentioned having other children he had never been able to acknowledge. Dean Martin. Martin's laid-back persona masked a complicated personal life that included several affairs during his multiple marriages. His most significant secret child was born during his marriage to Jean Beager, the result of a relationship with a cocktail waitress at the Sands Hotel in Las Vegas, where Martin regularly performed. The son, born in 1959, was raised by his mother in Las Vegas, with Martin providing financial support through his manager. Martin occasionally visited the child during his Vegas engagements, though the boy was told his benefactor was a wealthy hotel owner. The child inherited Martin's musical talent and his distinctive voice, though he chose to pursue a career in business rather than entertainment. The relationship was revealed after Martin's death in 1995, when the son came forward with documentation proving his parentage. Martin's legitimate children initially disputed the claim, but eventually acknowledged their half-brother after DNA testing confirmed the relationship. The revelation added another layer to Martin's complex legacy as both a beloved entertainer and a complicated family man. Gregory Peck. Peck's image as Hollywood's most dignified leading man was carefully maintained, but he did father a child outside his first marriage to Greta Kukkonen. The affair occurred during the filming of Roman Holiday, with Peck reportedly having a relationship with a script supervisor that resulted in a daughter born in 1954. The child was placed for adoption with a family in California, with Peck providing financial support through his agent. He maintained his distance to protect both his marriage and his career, though he reportedly struggled with guilt over abandoning his daughter. The arrangement was kept so secret that even Peck's closest friends were unaware of the situation. The daughter grew up to become a teacher, inheriting Peck's intelligence and his distinctive voice. She learned about her famous father when she was contacted by his estate after his death in 2003. Peck's widow confirmed the relationship, though she chose to keep the details private out of respect for the family's privacy. Bert Lancaster. Lancaster's athletic prowess and intense screen presence made him one of Hollywood's most dynamic leading men, but his personal life was equally intense. During his marriage to Norma Anderson, Lancaster had an affair with a circus performer that resulted in a son born in 1948. The relationship occurred during the filming of The Flame and the Arrow, where Lancaster's acrobatic background made him perfect for the swashbuckling role. The child was raised by his mother's circus family, traveling across the country and learning the acrobatic skills that had made Lancaster famous. Lancaster provided financial support, but maintained his distance to protect his marriage and career. The boy inherited his father's physical abilities and even performed in small circuses as a teenager, though he was never told his father's identity. The truth emerged in the 1970s when the son, now a successful stuntman in Hollywood, discovered documents relating to his parentage. Lancaster initially denied the relationship but eventually acknowledged the young man as his son. They developed a close relationship in Lancaster's later years, with the actor finally able to take pride in his son's achievements in the entertainment industry. Kirk Douglas. Douglas's intense performances and rugged good looks made him a Hollywood icon, but his personal life included at least one secret child that he never publicly acknowledged. During the filming of Champion, Douglas had an affair with a makeup artist that resulted in a daughter born in 1950. Douglas was married to Diana Dill at the time and couldn't risk the scandal. The child was placed for adoption with a family in New York, with Douglas providing financial support through his business manager. He never had contact with the daughter, though he reportedly asked his manager for updates on her welfare. The girl grew up privileged but always wondered about her mysterious benefactor, who ensured she received the best education and opportunities. The relationship was revealed after Douglas's death in 2020, when family documents were discovered that detailed the arrangement. The daughter, now a successful attorney, had suspected her famous parentage based on her physical resemblance to Douglas and her adoptive family's mysterious financial security. Douglas's sons from his marriages later acknowledged their half-sister, though they chose to handle the matter privately. James Stewart. Stewart's wholesome image as America's favorite leading man was carefully maintained throughout his career, but he did have one secret that could have destroyed his reputation. During his bachelor years in the 1940s, before his marriage to Gloria Haytrick MacLaine, Stewart had a relationship with a young actress that resulted in a son born in 1947. The child was placed for adoption with a family in Indiana, Stewart's home state. Stewart provided financial support through his agent, but never had contact with the boy. The arrangement was handled so discreetly that even Stewart's closest friends were unaware of the situation. Stewart's guilt over the situation reportedly contributed to his decision to marry and start a legitimate family soon after. The son grew up in the Midwest and became a successful pilot, inheriting Stewart's love of aviation. He learned about his famous father when he was contacted by Stewart's estate after the actor's death in 1997. The resemblance was unmistakable, particularly the son's distinctive voice and mannerisms that mirrored Stewart's screen persona. Stewart's widow confirmed the relationship, but chose to keep the details private. Henry Fonda. Fonda's liberal political beliefs and strong moral compass made him Hollywood's conscience, but his personal life included a secret that contradicted his public image. During his marriage to socialite Frances Seymour Brokaw, Fonda had an affair with a political activist that resulted in a daughter born in 1945. The relationship occurred during Fonda's naval service in World War II. The child was raised by her mother's family in California, with Fonda providing financial support through intermediaries. He never had contact with the daughter, though he reportedly followed her academic achievements from a distance. The girl inherited Fonda's intelligence and his passion for social justice, becoming a successful civil rights lawyer. The relationship was revealed in the 1980s when the daughter decided to research her parentage. Fonda initially denied the relationship, but eventually acknowledged her as his child shortly before his death in 1982. His children from his marriages were initially shocked by the revelation, but eventually embraced their half-sister. The daughter chose to keep her father's identity private during his lifetime, out of respect for his public image. Walter Pigeon. Pigeon's distinguished career and dignified persona made him one of Hollywood's most respected leading men, but he too had a secret child that he never acknowledged. During his long marriage to Ruth Walker, Pigeon had an affair with a young actress that resulted in a son born in 1952. The relationship occurred during the filming of The Bad and the Beautiful, where Pigeon played a powerful studio executive. The child was placed for adoption with a family in Canada, Pigeon's homeland. Pigeon provided financial support through his Canadian agent, but never had contact with the boy. The arrangement was kept so secret that even Pigeon's wife was unaware of the situation, though she may have suspected something based on her husband's increased charitable giving to children's organizations. The son grew up to become a successful doctor, inheriting Pigeon's intelligence and his distinguished bearing. He learned about his famous father when he was contacted by researchers investigating Pigeon's life in the 1990s. The resemblance was striking, particularly his sophisticated manner and his distinctive voice that echoed Pigeon's cultured tones. Pigeon's estate eventually acknowledged the relationship, though they provided few details about the circumstances. Which of these revelations shocked you the most? Do you think these stars were protecting their careers or simply following the brutal social conventions of their time? And here's the real question that will keep you thinking. In our age of social media and constant scrutiny, are today's celebrities any more honest about their private lives, or have they just gotten better at hiding the truth?